What's going on, boys? It's Malachi Fit. I'm going to be breaking down how to get out of that awkward skinny fat phase that a lot of people tend to be in, because it's one of those awkward positions where you don't really know if you should bulk or if you should cut. But in this video, I'm going to be breaking it down into 4 simple steps. Let's get into it. Now, before I get into everything, this was me a few years ago. I had already been lifting for around 2 years at this time. I had a good amount of muscle mass, or a decent amount of muscle mass compared to where I started, but I still had some fat around my midsection. And I caught it, learned what to do, learned how to overcome it, and this was me just 3 months after that. Then about 3 years later, this is what my physique looks like right now. So little credibility. And no, I didn't use any peptides, any steroids, just the system that I followed. So I'm gonna go over how I overcame that and what I've been doing ever since. So I'm gonna start with what skinny fat actually is. So it's pretty much the common out of shape look with low muscle mass, higher body fat percentage, poor nutrition portioning, and your hormones and stress are out of balance. So this is kind of what it looks like. You have skinny arms, skinny legs, but you have like maybe love handles, you have some fat around your midsection, you don't know how to get rid of it, and you don't wanna cut because your arms are already skinny, you don't wanna bulk because you're gonna put on too much body fat. It's one of those weird positions, right? So a common misconception when you're skinny fat is that you need to lose more weight, but instead of losing weight, you need to actually rebuild your body in a body recomposition. Here's some of the most common misconceptions about being skinny fat, and I just went over the I need to lose weight one. Now, depending on how your body looks, if you have a good amount of muscle mass, losing weight isn't necessarily bad, but if you're already really skinny and you just have a little bit of fat around your midsection, you don't want to focus on losing weight. You want to focus on a body recomp, maybe at maintenance calories, but I'll go over all that later. Another common misconception is that you can't build muscle unless you bulk first. Completely untrue. You don't need to be in a caloric surplus in order to build muscle. The primary driver of muscle growth is not a caloric surplus, it's mechanical tension. And how do you achieve mechanical tension? It's resistance training. So instead of completely focusing on cutting calories and crash dieting, you need to focus on what you're actually doing in the gym every day. Another misconception is that you're just genetically stuck like this. Completely untrue. Genetics affect your structure, not your effort or outcomes. A lot of people are super quick to see a great physique and completely blame it on genetics, when they haven't even put in the work to see the potential of their own genetics, right? So most skinny fat physiques actually come from years of inconsistent training, under eating protein, no progressive overload, stress, poor sleep, and low hormones. So here's what keeps most guys stuck. Chasing the scale. So if you're skinny fat and you're completely focused on your body weight alone, especially if you're eating at maintenance calories, you're most likely gonna get discouraged when you see the scale not changing, right? So when you are transitioning out of being skinny fat, the scale's not gonna change drastically, right? You wanna gain muscle while losing fat simultaneously, so it's likely gonna either stay the same or only drop a little bit. Another thing people do is program hopping consistently. So a lot of people stick to one program for a week and expect to see crazy results when they switch their program, do completely different workouts. But you actually need to stick to a program for around 3 months for your muscles to actually adapt to it in order for them to actually grow, right? Also, eating inconsistently, that's pretty obvious, right? We all know if we're eating good, eating bad, eating consistently, or eating inconsistently. There's a bunch of trends going around with people saying you can make amazing progress with eating a bunch of sugar, eating a bunch of shit, your favorite foods, whatever. You can make decent progress without having your diet extremely locked in, but being skinny fat is about your body composition. So in order to make progress and get out of that position, we need to focus on our macros, specifically your protein intake in comparison to your carbs and fats, and your calories, either at maintenance or in a slight deficit. Also, training without progression. A lot of people use no progressive overload, use the same exact weight, same exact amount of reps every single week. If you're not progressively overloading, then your muscles have absolutely no reason to grow. And relying on motivation instead of systems. Let's be real, being skinny fat is a tricky position to be in. If you don't have actual systems that you're following and you're just going based on your motivation, you're not gonna actually put in the work to get out of that position, right? So here's the 4-part skinny fat fix that you should focus on. So number 1 is training for muscle and using progressive overload. So if your lifts aren't increasing over time, your body has no reason to change. And I mentioned this earlier. That means you need compound movements, intensity, and progression. Compound movements can be your squats, deadlifts, your bench, things like that. Exercises that hit multiple muscle groups at once. You want to be going pretty heavy on those, and you want to be using progressive overload. And where a lot of people go wrong with progressive overload is they try to add weight every single week and hit a plateau super fast, when really you should be adding reps every single week, and once you max out a certain rep range, then you want to add weight. And you also want to be training with intensity. So a lot of guys will go in the gym, be there for 2-3 hours, not really get anything done because they're training like till mild discomfort, right? It's a thing people do. All you really need is 2 sets until failure for pretty much everything, maybe a couple warm-ups for your compound movements, and that's pretty much it. All of my workouts are 30 to 45 minutes max. Even if you're doing cardio, your workouts should still be less than an hour. All right, so you want to be lifting 3 to 5 days a week and doing your compounds, as I mentioned, and your accessories and your isolation movements. And you want to track your lifts reps weekly, so you're able to actually progressive overload properly without guessing. So number 2 is to eat for a recomp. So you should have your protein at 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. You don't need to go any higher than that. That's totally fine, but you don't really want to go any less than 0.8 grams. You could get that really easily. A lot of people struggle to get their protein in, but you know, a couple chicken breasts, you know, some steak, some ground beef, some egg whites, some cottage cheese, certain things like that, you could get your protein in so easily. For your calories, you could go on literally any calorie calculator. Calculator.net, I think that's what it's called, is pretty easy to use. You just put in like your height, weight, things like that. And it'll push out your maintenance. And once you find your maintenance, you could kind of stay there. If you're kind of lower in your body fat percentage and kind of want to focus on really building muscle and losing fat isn't the number one priority, or you could go on a slight deficit. And when I say slight, only around 250 calories. Now for a person with a skinny fat physique, eating in a body recomp, what I found to work the best was having your carbs around 40% of your diet, your protein around 40%, and your fats around 20%. Also, no crash dieting. So don't cut your calories by 1,000 thinking you're going to just reach your physique magically after that happens. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Body recomp is a slower process to results, but the results 3 to 6 months from now would be so much better versus if you just crash dieted and didn't really focus on your body composition or anything else. So number 3 is to implement cardio as a tool, not the foundation. So cardio should support fat loss, not replace resistance training. It's definitely not a necessity, especially if you're getting your steps in. It's used as a tool to help aid in the process. So you want to use steps and low intensity cardio, but lifting and nutrition are the main drivers, right? So you want to be getting 8 to 12K daily steps. So if you're somewhere around like 4,000 steps a day, you work a very sedentary job and you don't really walk around at work, and you just go home, that's it. You want to start getting a few walks in your day, right? Maybe a morning walk, maybe an afternoon, nighttime walk. It doesn't really matter. Just find ways to get more steps in. Become consciously aware of how many steps you're getting in and just make it a habit to get more steps in throughout your day, right? But your 8 to 12,000 steps should really be a non-negotiable because that's going to really help in the process. So if you are doing cardio, you really only want to do around 2 to 5 per week. And those only have to be around 25 to 30 minute cardio sessions. So what that could look like is walking on the incline treadmill for 3 to 3.5 miles an hour. And make sure you're not holding on to the rails because that kind of removes the purpose of the incline. So number 4, probably one of the most slept on things is your recovery and your hormone optimization. So poor sleep, high stress, and low recovery sabotage muscle gain and fat loss. So you want to be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a day. Now, sleep is one of those rules that's kind of meant to be broken. There's going to be the nights where you might only get 4 hours of sleep, might only get 3 depending on what your job is. But if you try to make up for it the next couple of days with that 7 to 9 hours, you'll be totally fine, right? You also want to manage your stress and your cortisol. If you're super stressed out, just find some ways to lower your cortisol. You can do journaling, morning walks, maybe limit caffeine consumption, limit your screen time, or just simply get more sleep, right? A huge cause of high cortisol is due to lack of sleep. So focusing on that 7 to 9 hours a night is super important to reducing that cortisol. You also want to focus on your hydration. So one huge non-negotiable for you should be drinking around a gallon of water a day, unless you're under like 150, 130 pounds. Also with micronutrients, you should be getting a lot of them from your actual diet alone. But one that people sleep on the most that's super important is actually vitamin D, which is the only supplement that I actually take at the moment because as you can see, it's daytime right now and I have the blackout curtains. I don't really get that much sunlight. So I have about 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 per day to supplement around an hour of sunlight, which is not extremely optimal, but vitamin D3 is definitely a supplement that you want to be taking. So here's 2 of my coaching clients that followed this exact system and got these results. This is my guy Levi, he got these results in 3 months, and this was Salvador, he got these results in 2 months. So let's just check out what they had to say.
But before, it was like, yes, I went to the gym, but I really wasn't focused at all. It was kind of just something that I just did because I really didn't know much about fitness.
We've been working together for 3 months. What would you say are like the main things that you've got out of it?
I would say accountability, discipline, knowledge for fitness. I just feel like I'll be able to continue this in the long run and succeed. Yeah,
absolutely. So what was it like working with me?
It was good. You're a good coach. Constant updates, constant feedback. Direction is definitely the main point, I would say. You can do this and just set up to keep going, which I feel like I am.
So with that, I taught Levi everything that he needed to know about fitness, nutrition, and recovery. That way he was able to work with me in 3 months and make great results. But not only that, he's able to make great results going forward, right? So let's listen to something my guy Salvador had to say. Since we started working together, how are you feeling about your physique right now?
I feel really confident, man, because I used to before, like even going to saunas or something like that, I would not take my shit off. Because I've always been like a slow gainer. I know that, like my whole body. But since then, I do see it. I do get compliments from people, so that helps a lot. So I like it. Like now I go to saunas or to the pool and I take my shirt off. And I know I'm seeing progress, man. I know I'm seeing it.
Yeah, before my guy Salvador started working with me, he was lacking confidence to the point where he wouldn't even take his shirt off at the sauna or at the pool. Now, he's got that confidence back. He's able to take his shirt off at the sauna and at the pool, certain things like that. And he gained that confidence in only 2 months of working with me. Also, just for reference, my guy Levi only lost 7 pounds in this entire transformation, which is another reason why you shouldn't be chasing the scale. Because as you can see, he did lose his love handles and he was able to put on a solid amount of muscle mass. With that being said, if you are either ready to fully dedicate yourself to making a change, want to skip the awkward guessing stage and get a complete transformation blueprint tailored to your goals just like my clients did, or want to finally build a physique that you're proud of, you could apply for my one-on-one coaching in the description below. It will be the first link there. And boom, if you guys like these types of videos where I break things down on the Miro boards, please let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, do the YouTube stuffs. If you didn't, let me know what else you guys would want to see, right? But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's get it.